Alright, so welcome back to Cool Graphics. My name is Chicheku, and this is Adobe Illustrator crash course for total beginners. Alright, but hey, if you are an intermediate, this could be helpful as well. Right? So I have two parts. Alright, so this is the first part, which I call road to logo design. Alright, so you are going to learn all the tools and techniques in creating logos in Adobe Illustrator. Alright, and by the end of this video, which is the part one, we should be able to clone logos such as Shell logo, Instagram logo, Apple logo, and so on. And I've already added two more logo tutorials in this video. Alright, and we are going to do all that. Y'all know how my video goes: simple and easy to understand. And if you don't want to miss the part two of this tutorial or crash course for beginners, which is the road to flyer design, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator to create flyers and all of that. Just go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my further videos on Photoshop, Adobe Dimension, Illustrator. And also I'm bringing you back some sick vector designs in Adobe Illustrator. Alright, so I don't want you to miss that, so go ahead and click the subscribe button. And without any further ado, let's jump right into this course. Alright, so let's launch Adobe Illustrator from the desktop. Double click on that, and it's gonna take a while to load. So when you open Adobe Illustrator, this is the first interface that you see, and from here is where you decide what type of documents you want to create, either to use a preset, open an existing document, or start a new blank document with your own dimensions and color modes. So as you can see, we have few presets showing up here with predefined dimensions. You can start with letter, postcard, common web design size, iPhone X, and HD TV size. But you can also click on more to get access to more presets. Alright, so from the top here, we got recent. That's where your recent designs appear. And we got saved. We haven't saved any document size yet. The next one is the number of iPhone presets that you can start with. So you have a number of iPhone screens or sizes that you can start with. The next one contains the number of web presets that you can start with in case you want to do web design. Alright, so the next one is print. And we have the paper sizes, not all, but at least you have A4, A3, A5, A6 that you can start with. All right, we got film and video. All right, more presets, art and illustration, where you can start with postcard, poster, and so on. All right, so let me go ahead and close that. And also, if you have any downloaded template or a saved work that you want to open, you just go and click open, and then you locate the file, and then you click on open. All right. Okay, so now with that being said, let's try creating a new document. You can use the shortcut keys Control N on Windows or Command N on Mac, and this pops up. All right. Now let's go back, or you can just go to File and select New, and this pops up. And you can also, let's go back, you can also create new files from downloaded templates. So you just select new from templates, then you locate the templates that you have downloaded from Adobe stock or anywhere else. But these are inbuilt templates, or the templates that come with Adobe Illustrator, right? Okay. And you can also open recent documents or recent files. All right, so if you have a recent saved file or work, you can just come here and then you just open it up. All right, now let's go back to creating a new file. Let's go to new, and then from here we have our saved recent. I've already talked about that. So let's talk about preset details. All right, so from the preset details, you can change the title for your document. Let me go ahead and name it chapter 1. And you can set the width in points. You can click here for more options such as inches, pixels, and more. So I can make it 10 inches. Here is the height. Then I can go ahead and change the height to, let's say, 20 inches. And you can choose to work in portrait or landscape, depending on how you want your artwork to be. Following is the number of artboards. In Illustrator, you can have more than one artboard at the same time. Don't worry, we'll cover all that as we progress. And here is where you get to set the bleed. Now the bleed is an XX or the space around your artwork where after printing you just trim that out so that you can have your main artwork. You have 4 sides, so you can set a number for top, bottom, left and right. So if I try changing one side, it affects everything. So you click on this to change it to a broken chain, and then you can change each side separately. All right, so if you click it back, you can change all of them together. And here is where you can choose the color mode. If you will be working on something for web, you need to go for RGB, but for print works, make sure you choose CMYK because that is the language the printer understands. And from here, the default resolution is 72 ppi, which is pixel per inch, and you set it to 300 for printout quality. All right, and here you can leave the preview mode to default. All right, so let's go to print and then choose A4, and then let's take point. Now let's take pixels and then change this one to CMYK, then click create. So when you open Adobe Illustrator for the first time, this is what you are likely to see. On the left we have our tools, and the right is the properties panel. All right, so let's talk about the toolbar. And this is the basic and default toolbar, and we can change and modify the toolbar. So to change the toolbar from basic to advanced, you have to go to Windows on the application bar, head to toolbars, and in the flyout menu you can choose advanced, create new toolbar, or manage toolbars. So for now, let's choose advanced, and the tools on the toolbar changes. More tools have been added. So we have 6 categories of tools in the toolbar. We got the tools for selecting, drawing, typing, painting, modifying, and navigating. We will look at them as we progress in this course. And if you want to create and manage your own toolbar, let's go back to the fly menu and choose new toolbar. Give your toolbar a name and click OK. Now this is your toolbar with no tool. Now we need to add tools, so let's click on the 3 dots below here, and this box opens up where we have all the tools in their categories. Now you just have to drag and drop the tool you want onto your toolbar. So I will drag the first tool here like that, and the next tool you can either place it below the first tool or drop it on top to group them. So in case you want to group all the tools for selecting, just drag and drop on each other. So I'll drag this one and then add this one to, let me bring it on top. All right, and then it groups them. So you right click and you have all the group members right here. Now you can group the next categories. All right, for drawing. All right, you can just draw. You just have to drag and drop it on the toolbar. All right, and the same way, if you want to delete a tool from the toolbar, just drag the tool out of the toolbar. All right, you just drag it and you can drop it anywhere within the box on the right. All right, then it will be removed from the toolbar. So you just have to be doing drag and drop, and the ones in the group, you just select the tool, then you drag it out. All right, you select the tool, then after that you click and drag it out to remove it from the group or the toolbar. Okay, so we are done with this. Now in case you have or you want to delete this toolbar or have multiple toolbars that you want to delete one, you just go to the Windows, toolbars. All right, then you go to manage toolbars, and right here the names will appear here. So you select and then you just click delete and it will be deleted. Then you click OK. And same thing with the default toolbar. If you want to add or remove tools on the toolbar, you just click on the 3 dots right here. This pops up. Now all of them are not active because they are on the toolbar. All right, so you can just click and drag out of the toolbar, or if you had any tool that is not on the toolbar, you can just drag and drop them onto the toolbar. All right, same thing with what we just did. So you can play around with it, removing and adding tools by dragging and dropping. All right, so that's how we go about it. So if you hover on a tool like this, a tool tip appears on the right. All right, with a brief description of the tool you've selected or you want to select. So you can see if I place the cursor on the tool without clicking, this thing pops up. You can hide or show this by going to edit, preference, general, and then you tick this box right here. If it is not checked, you check it up, and then if you want to hide it too, you uncheck, and then after that you click OK. So within the workspace we have panels. Now what are panels? These are panels, all right. The ones that I'm clicking are all panels, and we can rearrange them or float them, all right. So if you want to float a panel, you just click and drag it out of the group or wherever it is, all right. So you can just click this and then you drag it out. Now it is floating, all right. So you can just hang it anywhere within the workspace and it's floating. You can just drag this guy also out like this and you have your floating panels. Now these are what I'm doing right now is what is called floating a panel or floating panels within a workspace, all right. Now if you bring the cursor to the edge of the panel, it changes, the cursor changes, all right. And that means you can click and drag to increase either the width or the height of the panel, all right. So you can do this to any panel that you float within the workspace, all right. And those two arrows at the top right corner, the first one, those two arrows that you can click to close a panel, can click here to close a panel, and with that you can drag and stack panels on top of the other, all right. You can just group them, then you can rearrange panels and you can just open them together just like this, and you can just stack them beside the properties panel, all right. So if I open the properties panel or I expand them right here, I can just rearrange. It's also a panel, so I can just rearrange it. So I can close that and then drag them beside the properties panel, all right. So you can align them right here. You can just do anything that you want to do with it, wherever you want to place your floating panels or you want to float your panels. It's easy to do so, all right, in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so the default workspace that we are working in right now is Essentials, all right, and we can change it to different workspaces. And to change it, you have to go to Windows and look for Workspaces, and then here are the workspaces that we have right here. So we are going to change it to Essential Classic, all right. So let's click on that and you see it changes. So we have few panels added, all right. So let's try another workspace. Let's go to Windows, Workspace, and then let's change it to Layout. Anyway, this is what we have in the Layout workspace, all right. Let's change it to Painting, all right. So we have it. So the side right here changes to Tools that will help you in painting works, all right. All right, now we've changed it to Printing and Proofing. All right, so there's it. Now suppose you don't want to go through all this process to change a workspace. To go through all this process to change a workspace, you can just come to the top right corner here, and on this icon, if you click on that, you have all the workspaces right here that you can change without going through all those process. It's not long though, but it's just click right here and just choose, all right. So let's click right here and then choose our Essentials. Now if you don't like the arrangement of the workspace or you made mistakes, you can go back to the workspace fly menu, and here we can just select reset workspace to have our default settings of the workspace, all right. And if you want to create a new workspace for your own self, you just go to new workspace, you give it a name. So I'll have my name right here, I think sample, it's okay. Then I'll click OK, and it's mine. I can just float things within the workspace. I can keep it on tidy or keep it tidy, whatever that I want. It's like my own room. If you can keep your own room tidy, you can just keep your workspace tidy, all right. And also, if you want to delete your workspace, you just go to the same file menu, go to Windows, Workspace, but this time you go to Manage Workspace. All right, this pops up. You just click on the name, then you hit delete icon, just choose yes, then you click OK. Then you have your default workspace essentials back. Now let's talk about artboards. All right, and you can choose the number of artboards at the beginning or at the start when you're creating your document. So from here you can choose the number of artboards. All right, but the maximum number of artboards you can create in a document is 1000. All right, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to make it 3. So let's click create. And so there we have it. We have 3 artboards right now. Now we can create more artboards here with the help of the artboard tool, and it's right here on top of the zoom tool. When selected, we can move artboards to different locations. You can overlap or intersect them, and you can resize artboards by dragging the anchor points on the edges. And you can create new custom artboards by dragging over an empty area to get a new artboard. But this method of creating new artboards is not recommended. All right, I'll show you the recommended one in no time. Now, if you want to duplicate an artboard, one way to do it is to have the artboard selected. All right, so first of all, I'll click the artboard that I want to duplicate, and then go to the properties panel where we have this plus, click it, and you can see we have the artboard duplicated, and you can move it to anywhere you want. Okay, but also from the properties panel you can change the name of the artboard, and you can also delete the artboard. So you click the artboard to select it, and then you come and click on the delete icon over there. Another way to duplicate an artboard is to select the artboard, hold Alt on the keyboard, and then click and drag to a specific place that you want to duplicate the artboard to. All right, so you just hold Alt on the keyboard, click, drag, then you have your artboard duplicated. Now suppose we have something on an artboard that we want to duplicate together with it. All right, so let me create a rectangle on this artboard. All right, so if you want to duplicate the whole artboard together with its content, first of all we need to select the artboard tool. All right, and then have the artboard selected. Now on the properties panel where we have move artwork with artboard, if it is checked, make sure you leave it like that, hold Alt and then drag to a new destination. Now you see that it is duplicated together with the rectangle. Now if I go and uncheck this and try duplicating, it will only duplicate the artboard, all right, without the contents on the artboard. So that's how we go about that. Now the recommended way to create a new artboard with a preset is to go and double click on the artboard tool. This pops up, and from here you can change the name of the artboard, or you can choose a name for it, and the preset you can choose any preset that you want. So I'm going to take A3, and for the orientation you can make it portrait or landscape, and for the rest of it, for a beginner, leave everything, don't touch anything for now, and click OK. Now in case we want to manage our artboards, all that we need to do is go to Windows, and from there we choose Artboards. Now here are all the artboards that we have, and now you can change the name of the artboard or you can rename it. We can also click on this artboard icon right here, and we can make changes to that. And also, wait, let me arrange all the artboards so that we can see all the artboards. And let me bring this guy right here, let me expand that so that we can see the changes as we make them. So you can select an artboard and delete, and you can also create new artboards right here, and you can arrange an artboard. All right, you can just change the position of an artboard, either you bring it down or you send it to the top. Okay, so now with all that being said, we have this icon right here that's rearrange all artboards, and if you click on that, you can make changes to the arrangement, either grade by row or grade by column, and you can also arrange by row or arrange by column. Right, so first I'm going to select the arrange by row, and then for the spacing I will choose a number for the spacing, and then click OK. Now you see all the artboards are arranged in a row. All right, let me bring this guy right here so that you can see all of that. Now if you go back there and choose by column, all the artboards will be arranged by column. All right, so that's how we go about that in managing your artboards. Okay, and even if you arrange them in column like this, nothing stops you. You just have to use the artboard tool and you can make changes to the positions. You can just distort the positions again. Every drawing starts with an anchor point. So this is an anchor point, and this is an anchor point with handles. All right, and every drawing also starts and ends with an anchor point, and the distance between them is called a path. So from here to here is a straight path. So the path could be a straight path. That's where we got two anchor points, and a curved path. That's where the handles normally comes at the ending anchor point. So what we got here is a path that got straight line between two anchor points and a curve. So this black dot or circle right here is the directional point, and the directional line is the bar between the directional point and anchor point. And with this you can tweak or make changes to the curve. Now we could have closed parts and open parts, and an example of closed parts are a square and a circle. That's where we got the anchor points meeting or enclosing. And open parts, example is a zigzag or wavy and a semicircle. So all your drawings in Adobe Illustrator could include closed parts and open parts. So in the process of drawing, every sharp curve that you make is a corner point. All right, so when you make a sharp curve, that anchor point over there becomes a corner point. But if it curves smoothly or curves in, that anchor point over there is a smooth point. All right, so there could be a figure just like the one that I got here, where we got both corner points and smooth points at the same time. Okay, so you could have a corner point and a smooth point. That's making a shape. Now a selected anchor point becomes black like this. Okay, if you want to make changes, and not selected anchor point remains like this. The shortcut key for the pen tool is P on the keyboard, or you can go to the tools panel and grab it. Now we need to make a first anchor point. So left click once and then move the mouse to a different location and click again. Now if you want to get rid of this string attached, just press escape on the keyboard and it will get off. But the anchor point looks so small, so we can increase that by going to edit, preferences, selection and anchor display, and then increase this bar right here to the max. Click OK. Okay, so now we got this pink lines that comes when you move your mouse around or the cursor around the line. So these are called smart guides. They help you align things. So you can go to view, and then from the bottom you have smart guides. If you click on that, it will be turned off. Now it's sometimes helpful, sometimes annoying, because sometimes you are just trying to align something with a shape and it could be annoying, but sometimes helpful. So let's try creating lines with the pen tool. If you don't want to continue, press escape, then the string gets off. All right, so let's create another diagonal line right here. You click, you move your mouse, then you click again. If you don't want to continue the line, escape, then you get the string off. Now with the help of the shift key, you can pan your angles. 45, 90, then you have your straight line, then you click, you will have straight lines with the help of the shift tool. All right, so with the pen tool you can create closed parts and open parts, any shape that you want, but for now we are just focusing on the straight lines. So we are going to start drawing curves with the pen tool by starting with an arc. So the first of all, you left click once, then you move to any direction you want, and this time you left click and hold, meaning don't remove your finger from the left click. Okay, and then you drag, you drag, or you just move around while holding, still pressing down the left click, then you move to any location, or you just play along with the directions, and you can see that the line or the path will be curving around, forming an arc. Right now I'm still holding down the click. All right, so if you remove your finger from the click, that blue thin line forming the arc will be filled with black, meaning that's the stroke. Okay, you have accepted this arc. So as you can see, I removed my finger, it's filled with what? Black stroke. So right now we have the arc and we don't want to create any further shape or line again. So the next thing that we need to do is get rid of the string attached. So we need to press escape on the keyboard to get rid of the string, and that's it. So we are going to create another one below. So what you need to do is left click once, you can remove your finger, then you move to any direction that you want, then you click again. This time hold and drag, you hold and you drag. So wherever that you extend that to, that will make the curve. Then you remove your finger and then it fill the stroke, then you press escape on the keyboard and get rid of the string. Now that's what we have right here. Then after that you can select your selection tool. So that's what we have, and we can create another one right here. So grab your pen tool by pressing P or go for it, then you click once, then the second one you click, then hold, then drag, you release your finger, then you are filled with stroke, then you have your arc. So simple as that. So we are done with the arcs. Let me go ahead and delete that, and then let's try creating wave lines. Okay, so in creating wave lines, for the arcs you just click and release. Okay, but for the wave you left click, then you hold. Okay, you left click, you hold, then you drag before you release your finger on the first click. So you click, you hold, then you drag to get your directional lines. Then you release your finger from the click, and then you move to any different direction. As you can see, it's already curving. Then you click again, you hold, then you drag, okay, to get your wave line just like this. Then you release your finger to get a stroke. You press escape on the keyboard to get rid of the string. Okay, so now you can press V on the keyboard or go for the selection tool. Now you have your arc right here. So you're going to try another one, and this time you're going to introduce the direct selection tool. So you pick your pen tool, you click, hold, then you drag to any direction, then you release, move to different location, click, hold, and drag to get your wave. Now you press escape, get rid of that. Now we don't like this kind of wave, okay, this S shape right here, we don't like it. So what we need to do is go for the direct selection tool. Okay, it's right here. You can tweak the shape or the path of the wave, and the shortcut key is A on the keyboard to select that. Now before you can change or make changes to a curve or wave, you just have to select an anchor point. So as soon as you click a handle, the second handle appears. So if you select this one, the other handles appear, and with that you can tweak the handles to change the path. All right, so if I click and hold on an anchor point, I can drag to any location that I want, and as soon as I drag or move it, the path changes. So right now we need to make it look more wavy. So first of all, I'll just select the path, and then as I said earlier, we have the directional line and the directional point which appears on the anchor point. Now the directional point is this blue ellipse over here. So you click, hold, and then you can drag anywhere to make changes to the path, as I'm doing right now. So right now I'm still holding on to the left click and moving it around. Okay, so at the point where you think, oh okay, this will be okay for this side or to make it look wavy, then you leave it, then you come and select this one to hold, and then you drag, then you adjust that. Okay, so now anywhere that you want, you can, any shape, you can have arcs, and with that you can also have your wavy lines, S shape lines, something like that. Okay, so it's just a matter of tweaking the handles, all right, the directional point. Okay, so I think this wavy line is okay, so we're gonna click anywhere on the canvas, then we have our line. So right now we are going to look at how we can combine curves and straight lines on a path. Okay, so first of all, you just click, and when you move and you click the next one and you drag, when you release the click, you see that the string is suggesting the path or the curve when you click the next. Okay, so if you want your next click to be a straight line but not a curve, you hold Alt, it changes to this icon, and then you click and then you bring it to the top. It will pan onto a straight line, and then you can click on the directional point. Now you have your straight line right here. So from here it becomes a corner point, and any single click that you make becomes a corner point. Okay, so until you click, hold and drag, and eventually becomes a curve or a smooth point. And also, if you don't want the next point to be a curve or a smooth point, you can click on the anchor point to cut the fore handle, and it will be easier making a straight line or a corner point. So you click and drag to have a smooth point or a curve, click to cut the fore handle, and then you have a curve or a smooth point. Okay, and if you don't want that, let me undo that, and you can click on the anchor point to cut the fore handle, and you can have a straight line making a corner point. So let's make a shape right here. Click and drag, move to the right, click and drag to have your arc, release. Now the next click will be a curve. You don't want that, so you're going to hold Alt and click on the anchor point to cut the fore handle, move down, click, move to the left in a straight line and click, and you go up and click on the first anchor point to close the path. Now that's all about combining curves and straight lines or corner points and smooth points. So now suppose we have a corner point like this one right here. Let me move it to the right, and we want to convert the anchor point or the corner point to a smooth point. We just select the anchor point right here, click to select, and on the control panel where we have this icon, convert selected anchor point to smooth, you can click that and you see it will be turned to a smooth point or a curve. And with the direct selection tool, you can make changes to the side of the curve or the point, just like I'm doing right now. You just click on the selection point and then you can tweak the direction to form an arc or a curve right here. And at the same time, if you have a smooth point or an arc like this and you want to convert to a corner point, you just click the anchor point. On the control panel, on this icon, you see convert selected anchor points to corner. You click and you have your corner point like this. So that's how we convert from corner to smooth and smooth to corner point. So we are going to try more examples on this. So let me place this guy right here and draw a square with a pen tool very quick. Okay, so now we have this. Let's take the direct selection tool, and if you click on this anchor point and go to the control panel and then click on convert to smooth, we can have a smooth corner over there. Then we can adjust the handles. Click on that and you adjust the let me click on then you adjust the handles. Okay, you can select another one right here, convert to smooth point, then you adjust the handles. So it's just that you select, so you can turn this into an oval or ellipse by converting all the points to smooth. Okay, let me convert that. All right, and you can adjust the handles. It doesn't look like a perfect oval or a circle, but it's actually okay. The goal is to convert to smooth. Okay, so now as you can see, this looking a little bit, and we can also convert them back into corner points. Okay, so you just click, then you go and click on this icon right here to convert it back to corner. So let me make another example right here by combining smooth and corner points, just like this. Now if I take the direct selection tool, then click on this anchor point, I can convert that to curve or smooth. Then I can adjust it like this, and then select this guy right here and also convert that to smooth or a curve. and the adjustment still goes on. Now this guy right here, I can change that to a corner. So another way to convert corner points to smooth points is the use of the anchor point tool, which could be found on the tools panel. You right click on the pen tool and it's a group tool, so you choose the last one, which is the anchor point tool right here. So when you select that, you can change corner points to anchor point. But first of all, and always make sure you select the path with the direct selection tool to reveal all the anchor points. Then you can use the anchor point to click and drag on the corner point, which will turn it into a smooth or a curve. All right, so just like this. So any corner point that you see, you can click and drag and it will be converted into a smooth point. And the same too, if you click on a smooth or a curve point, it will be converted into what? A corner point. So any smooth point that you click on, it will be converted into a corner point. So I can easily convert this back to a square just by clicking on the smooth points. Okay, so any smooth point that I click on will be converted into a corner point, and now we have them back into the original shape. And if you click and drag on a corner point, to be converted into a smooth point. So that's how this tool also works. So now we are going to talk about a tool called Add Anchor Point Tool. So suppose you have a line like this, we can turn that into a wave. So let's go to the pen tool and right click on the pen tool. Now select the second tool, which is the Add Anchor Point tool. Now with this tool, you can add anchor points onto the line. So you can add any number of points that you want. So I'm going to add a few clicks. Okay, so now the next thing I have to do is go and grab the direct selection tool, and I can click and drag to the top, then click this one and drag this one also to the top, and come and drag this guy also to the top. Now these are all corner points. So now the next thing to do is go for the anchor point tool, right click and select the anchor point tool. Now you click and you drag on the corner points to turn them into smooth points. So there we have it. We have a wavy path right here. So that's how the add to anchor points also works. And same way is the delete anchor point. And if you add an anchor point and if you want to delete an anchor point, you should use a tool called delete anchor point, found in the same group with the pen tool, the anchor point tool, and the add anchor point tool. So you go and right click on the anchor point tool, and it is the third tool in the group right here. Click on that, and if you come and click on an anchor point, it will be deleted from the path. So as you can see, as I clicked, it is deleted, or it got deleted from the path. Now you can delete any anchor points with this tool. As soon as you click on it, it will be deleted. Now I have nothing left. So this is how, that's how this tool called delete anchor point works, the opposite of add anchor point. Now the last thing you need to know before we move on is how to connect two lines or two parts. So suppose we have two separate lines like these two. All we need to do is grab the direct selection tool. You can press A on the keyboard or go for it on the tools panel. So if I click on this and click on this anchor point tool, now I've only selected these two anchor points. So if I go to the control panel and on this connect selected endpoint, if I click on that, it will be connected. Now I have a single line or a single path right here. And this brings us to the end of the pen tool and its group members. Okay, so now in the next episode, we are going to create an apple with a pen tool. So see ya. Okay, so here we are going to create an apple with a pen tool. All right, so all that we've learned, we are coming to put that into practice. So before that, let's have our grid. Let's go to view, And then down here we have show grid. Now this grid is going to help us draw an apple. Okay, so now let's grab the pen tool, and now we need a starting point. So anywhere could be our starting point. So let's click here. Let's count 2 boxes to the left and then 1 box to the top. So to right here, click and drag to have your smooth point. Come to the top somewhere here, click and drag to have your smooth point. Now we need to cut this so that we could have a corner point right here. Now let's count the same boxes to the right from the starting point, and then let's have our smooth point right here. Now let's click the first one to join it. Now this is not looking good, so let's grab the direct selection tool and then come and grab this handle here and then pull it up. Okay, so you can make few adjustments to other anchor points to get the right shape that you want. Okay, so now we are going to draw the leaf. So make sure you have your pen tool, and then you click, and then the next one you click and drag to make an arc. Now let's cut the 4 handle so that we could have a corner point there, and then click on the first anchor point and hold drag to have your second arc. So you release it. Now this is what we have. Okay, so let's take out the grid. Let's go to view and then hide grid from the bottom. Okay, so this is what we have. Now we are done drawing the apple, so we need to add colors. Now before we go to adding colors, if you look at the tools panel, the bottom here, we got these 2 guys right here. One applies stroke and one applies fill. So what I need to do now is take you guys through how they work. Okay, alright, so this is the fill and stroke tool, which we got the fill right here with white, and this is the stroke. If you click on this icon right here, it swaps the fill and stroke, so the fill becomes black and the stroke becomes white. And clicking on this small icon right here sets both the fill and stroke to their default colors, black and white. And then we got these 3 guys right here. This one stores the previous color that you used or the current one, and the one in the middle stores the gradient. Okay, and clicking on this guy sets either the fill or stroke to none. Okay, so here it's important to know anytime which one is in front. Okay, so we have fill is in front and stroke is in front. Now the one on the left here, the fill is in front of the stroke, so any changes that you make will be applied to the fill. And this one, the stroke is in front, okay, filled with black, and sometimes you could be changing the fill, but it will rather change the stroke or setting it to none. So you just need to know anytime which one is in front. You just need to click the one behind to bring it to the front. Now anytime you click the none, the one that is in front will be set to none. So here the fill is set to none, and here the stroke is in front and it is set to none, so there is no stroke, no color applied. All right, so take note. So here is an example, a square and a circle. All right, now this mauve color in the middle right here is the fill, okay, and the boundary, the yellow boundary, is the stroke. Okay, so same applies to this. The blue in the middle is the fill, so you can change it, and the white is the stroke around it. Okay, so anytime you want to change a color, you just know which one will be applied, either the fill or the stroke. And this is the stroke example. So here we only have a black stroke with no fill, so the fill is empty and the stroke is black, as you can see this icon. And here we have a yellow stroke, okay, no fill, and this will be the icon just like this. So, and here we only have a fill, okay, we only have a black fill with no stroke, so the stroke will be cancelled just like this icon right here. So anytime you see this, it means it only has a fill and no stroke, and the same applies to this yellow circle right here, no stroke, a yellow fill. So sometimes you'll be working on a white canvas, okay, and you will draw a square or a rectangle and it will look like this. You may think you only have a stroke with no fill. but you wouldn't know unless you check the tools panel to see if this icon right here is showing either the one on the left. If it shows the left one, it means fill is white, and if it shows the one on the right, it means there is no fill unless you apply a fill color. And that's all you need to know about that. So let's go back to our apple. That's what we have right here, and with that knowledge we can apply colors, or we can add colors to this apple. So let's go to the tools panel, then look at what we have here. The stroke is in front, as I said, filled with black. Okay, that's what we have. So there's no fill unless we add a fill color. So we need to click on the apple body and then click on the fill to bring it to the front, and double click. Then you can choose any color from here. So you use this small slider to pan through the colors, and then you click here to choose a specific color range. You can even add a hex code here, or CMYK, HSV, everything is right here for you. So if you know the figures, you can put them in. So let's sweep this up and then choose a red color right here. Now as you can see, we have a fill and a black stroke. And same way for the leaf, we just need to select the leaf and then head to the fill, double click, and you can choose a green color for the leaf. So you can pick color like this. Okay, so this is all we have, and we need to take out the stroke, the black stroke around it. Okay, so you can select the apple body by clicking on it, and then click the stroke to bring it to the front. Else when you click on none, it will be applied to the fill instead. So click on the stroke behind to bring it to the front, and you can click on this red right here, and the previous color will be applied just as I explained earlier. So click the stroke to bring it to the front, and now we set it to none, it will be applied to the stroke. So we take out the stroke only. And same thing for the leaf, you click it, then it's already in front, the stroke is already in front. So just go ahead and click the none, and there will be no boundaries or stroke applied. Okay, so we are done, and you can change the apple to green. All right, so you have green apple, you can play with it. Okay, Adobe Illustrator is really interesting. Just as a beginner, just sit tight and you're good to go. So now the pencil tool, you can press N on the keyboard or go to the tools panel and right click on the shaper tool, and then you can choose the pencil tool right here. Now you can make freehand drawings with the pencil tool. Okay, the best tool for using the pencil tool is the graphics tablet. It makes it simple. Well, as for the mouse, it becomes a little bit difficult. Okay, so the moment you draw any shape, you have your anchor points around it. You can draw any shape that you want with a pencil tool. And suppose you have a heart right here. Let me draw a heart, and then you don't get the shape quite well. You can press Alt on the keyboard, and then you can start from an anchor point, and then you can draw the shape really well, and it will be fixed. All right, so you can just redraw shapes by starting from an anchor point to an anchor point. Okay, and you can still make freehand drawings. Write your name with the graphics tablet. That's the best tool. Okay, so suppose we have two separate lines right here. So I'll draw this line and then draw this guy right here, and now we can join them together. Okay, you can join them together by selecting both lines for the anchor points to appear, and then we start from this anchor point and then end on this anchor point, and it will be joined. Okay, now you can start from here and then end on this anchor point, and it will become a shape. Okay, so that's that. Now if you go to the pencil tool and then double click on the pencil tool, this pops up. Now this is the bar here is the fidelity. We have the accurate and we have the smooth. So you can drag it to the accurate or you can drag it to the smooth. But if you drag it to the accurate, it means it's actually going to take every move that your hand make on a graphics tablet. Okay, and if you draw this time, the anchor points are closely packed. to follow your hand movement on the graphics tablet. So the shapes are not that smooth, okay, they become rough. So if I go back there, double click on the pencil tool, this pops up, and if I drag it to the smooth and click OK, now this time if I draw, I get a smooth shape or a smooth lines forming the shape. Okay, so you can see the difference. Okay, so now if I come up here and then draw a circle with the smooth fidelity, this is how it looks. Then if I go back there and change it to accurate and then draw a circle, you can see the anchor points are closely packed, making it accurate, but the shape is not all that smooth compared to the smooth fidelity. Okay, so that's how it is. Now this one right here is keep selected. So if I keep that selected and I draw, you have anchor points appear on the line. Okay, so if I uncheck that, if I draw a line right here, you can see there are no anchor points appearing. So you can use that to draw anything that you want. And I can draw a human head right here. And drawing without keeping them selected makes the work quicker, or makes you draw very quick and easier. Because if you keep that selected when you are drawing, it makes it more complicated, okay, because every stroke that you make, there has to be an anchor point unless you draw another line before they get off. So keeping that selected, deselected, makes it more smooth. So now if you draw a line right here, let me make a few lines, and you press on the Alt key and you start from an anchor point, you can change the direction of the line. So you drag from an anchor point like this and it will start a new path or direction from there. And now since you know how to apply fill, this one right here is a shape, so you can apply black fill, or no, this is a hat. So let's change it to red, and now you got this. Is it pink? All right, so as a beginner, I think this is all you need to know about the pencil tool for now. Now let's talk about the shaper tool. So you can go for the shaper tool in the group with the pencil tool at the first tool, or you can press Shift and N on the keyboard. Now with this tool, when you draw a rough shape like this, it will be turned into a correct shape. All right, a perfect shape. So you draw a rectangle, it becomes a correct rectangle. And another thing that this tool does is you can combine shape. Okay, you can combine shapes. So if I have this shape and I have another overlapping shape right here, I can just drag across and it will be merged together. All right, so it becomes a single shape. So suppose I have this shape right here and I have this one right here. If I cross them out where they are intersecting, it becomes a single shape. So I can overlap all these shapes right here. Let me overlap all of them, and where they are intersecting, if I draw a line across all of them, they all joins up and become a single shape right here. So that's that about the shaper tool. Now let's go to the smooth tool in the same group. Now with this tool, the difference is not quite visible, but suppose you have a line right here and it's not all that smooth, you can just drag or grab the smooth tool, and then when you drag on the line, it becomes a little smooth. Okay, like it becomes smooth. I don't know how to express this, but when you drag on it, so suppose you have this guy right here, okay, and we drag on that, it becomes, the line becomes a little smoother. Okay, so that's what this tool does. So I'll just explain this real quick. Then we go to the eraser tool. Now the eraser tool is in the same group with the pencil tool right here. You grab that, and with that you can erase all anchor points. So with the pencil tool, all you just need to do is select the stroke or the shape, and then you grab the eraser, you drag over the anchor points, and they disappear. So let me just erase this big guy right here. It will never erase unless you select it. Okay, so select that, grab your eraser tool, drag over that, then you can erase this big guy right here. So that's that. Now suppose I have two intersecting lines. Let me draw two intersecting lines like these guys right here. I can join them at where they are intersecting. Okay, so I'll go to the group, right click on the eraser tool, then I select the last two, the join tool. Now if I drag over the excess right here, then I join them together at where they are intersecting. Okay, so that's all that about the pencil tool and its group members as a beginner. So let's move to the next tool. Now with the curvature tool, you can go for it beside the pen tool right here. Now it works as the pen tool, but every click that you make, unless you click the second click before you have the imaginary line to know where the path will take, and every click right here creates a smooth point automatically. So every click that you make will be a smooth point, and we've already explained a smooth point earlier in this tutorial. And now with the same tool, you can move the anchor point to a different location. Okay, so you can adjust the anchor point with the same tool. And with the help of the Alt tool, when you press Alt on the keyboard, you can see it changes to plus or minus. Then that means you can add an anchor point on the line or the path. And if you hold Alt and press on an anchor point, it will be converted to a corner point. So you can convert this one right here to a corner point. And with the same tool, you can move it anywhere that you want. So let me get rid of that, and let's grab the tool again. Now when you click and you click again, you have your smooth point, and if you want a corner point, just hold Alt and then you click to have your corner point, and the rest could be smooth points. So let me join this one right here, and with the same tool you can adjust the anchor points. So let me bring this guy here. Okay, let me join it to this one, and then I can add anchor points on the path by clicking and dragging to a new position. Now let me go ahead and fill this with a pink color or something. Yeah, pink. Let me take this color. Okay, so the curvature tool is all about creating shapes with smooth points, and if you want a corner point, all you need to do is just hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, and then you click, or if you click on an anchor point while holding the Alt, if it is a smooth point, it will be converted to a corner point. So you can even create a star with the curvature tool, all right, just by holding down Alt and then be clicking to get your star shape. So right now I'm holding down the Alt key. So if you release your finger, then you click, it will be a smooth point, which will give you a curve. Right, so that's all about the curvature tool right here. Now let's move on to the next group of tools. So the rectangle. Okay, so you right click on this rounded rectangle right here. It should be first, but mine is last. So you can just click and drag to create a rectangle or a square from this shape. Now you have its control panel up there, and when you are dragging, if you hold Shift plus Alt, you can get a perfect square just like this. So this is a perfect square, but if you don't, then you drag, you can have a rectangle, or by the use of the guides you can have a perfect square either. So but the easiest way is to drag whilst you are pressing down Alt and Shift, and you have its controls right here in the control panel, and this can increase its stroke. Okay, you can increase and decrease the stroke around it. So let me place that one right here. Let me align them. Now the next tool that I'm going to talk about is the ellipse tool. Okay, so the same group, or you can press L on the keyboard to have the ellipse tool. Now this is an oval. When you click and you drag, you can either have an oval, and you can press down the Alt and the Shift to have a perfect circle, just like the rectangle that we did. And the next shape is the rounded rectangle. It looks like the rectangle, but with this one the corners have already been rounded. Okay, so the same thing, you can click and drag, or you can drag and hold down Alt and Shift at the same time. Now on the rectangle, if you want to have the corners rounded, first of all you just have to select the rectangle, and when you select it, you can see these blue circles within the rectangle. Now if you have your direct selection tool and you click any of this and drag, you can round the four corners at the same time. Okay, so when you drag in, you can round the four corners at the same time. Now if you want to round only one corner, you just have to click it and it turns blue, and then you drag it in and click this one too and you drag. You can only drag that, so you can click this, hold Shift, and then come and click this one, don't remove your finger, then drag in, and you can round these two corners at the same time. And same with the rounded rectangle, you can increase the roundness or you can turn it back to a rectangle with no rounded corners. Okay, and with the ellipse tool, when you select an ellipse, you can see this handle right here, and you can drag it around to make a pie chart shape like this. And with the delete anchor point tool that we learned earlier, we can delete anchor points on the circle and the shape will be changing. All right, so that one was a quick one. In the same circle, if you have it selected like this, with the direct selection tool, you can delete one anchor point and you have a semicircle. Okay, and you can tweak, you can play around with the handles, and from the control panel you can increase the strokes and many more like that. Now the next tool that I'm going to talk about is the polygon tool. Now with the polygon tool, when you press enter on the keyboard, this will pop up and you can choose the size that you want. So if I choose 3, I'll have a triangle. If I choose 4, I'll have a square. It's just that you have to know your polygons. Okay, so if you don't know which shape that with, especially with the pentagon, hexagon, if you don't know the number of size, you can just play around with it. Okay, so any number that you choose, you can have your polygon right there. So these are all polygons. And the next tool that I'm going to talk about is the star tool. So first of all, let me get rid of these polygons. And let's go back for the star tool. Now if you click and drag in the star tool, you have this. Okay, with the help of the Alt and Shift. And if you go for the direct selection tool, these circles will appear that you can tweak the edges. Okay, you can round the corners. So if I don't click but I drag any of them, I'll round all the corners at once. But if I click and then I drag, I'll only round that particular corner over there. One thing about the star is that the first or the default star that you drag out, the shape looks bulged. When you hold down Alt, you can see that the lines become straight. All right, the line becomes straight, and then you can remove your hand or remove your finger from the click and you have straight lines. You can compare it with the first one that I did. Okay, and another thing is that when you drag it out like this and you click or you press Control, you hold down Control and then you drag in the mouse. All right, you can have the corners pointing out or pointing in. All right, just like this. So you can I'm just bringing my hand back and forth whilst I hold down Control. You can play along with this, the Alt and the Control, and you see what I'm talking about. And the last thing you need to know about the star tool is that when you have the star tool, and you press enter on the keyboard, this pops up, and from here you can change the size or the number of points that you want. So suppose I choose this is what pops up. So now let me delete that and drag it out. Now if I hold control on the keyboard, you see I can change the shape. Okay, I can have many variants of the shape. So that's that. I'll put it aside. Now the rest, you can just be playing around with the fill colors and stroke colors, many more like that. And that's all you need to know about this group. But as for this tool right here, the flare tool, I will explain that in further videos. All right, as a beginner, I think this is all that you need to know right now, but you can go along and play with that. So you can duplicate an object by dragging and dropping. So you just hold Alt, you hold down Alt, then you click and drag to a new destination. All right, then you have your duplicate. You hold Alt, you click and you drag, and I can select these two, hold Alt, click and drag, so I have my duplicates. And again, you can duplicate in a certain direction. Okay, so if I play this guy right here, let me resize that, and I hold Alt, click and drag to the right, and then I release it, and then I hold Control and then tap D continuously, it will duplicate in that given direction. So let me go ahead and undo that. Now if I duplicate by dragging down, and then I hold Control and then continuously tap the D on the keyboard, it duplicates in that direction. So you first of all duplicate by dragging and dropping, and then the next thing is you hold Control and then you tap on D continuously. Okay, so let's select the object right here and then go to edit, then copy. We can cut, but let's copy and then go back to edit, and now when we click on paste, we have our object pasted right here. Now we can also select the object and right click, copy, right click again, and now let's look at this paste right here that has a fly menu. Then when we click on paste in front, it pastes in front of the original object. So if you go ahead and change the color of the front one changed. All right, and now same way we can also paste in the back. So if I go ahead and click on this guy, right click and copy, and right click again, go to paste in the back. Now if I go ahead and change the color, nothing happens because it's behind the original shape. So if I move it away, you can see we have paste in the back object. Same way the other one was what pasted in front. And also when you copy and then you are pasting, you can paste in what place, same place right here, and it will be pasted on top of the original shape. So that's all about the copy and paste. Now we all know Control C and Control V will copy and paste, but Control C and Control F will paste in front, and Control C, Control B will paste in the back. So if I go ahead and select this guy right here, and then I press Control C and then Control F, and then go ahead and change the color, you see the front one is changed. Now if I undo that and then select the shape again, now if I press Control C, Control B, then go ahead and change the color, nothing happens. So unless I move it away before you see pasted object. Now arranging objects. So if I slide this guy behind the green guy and then right click and then go to arrange and then choose bring to front, it comes on top of every object on the canvas. All right, and same way with the green one, if I choose bring to front, it comes on top of every object on the canvas. And same way with send to back, which is the opposite of bring to front. So the send to back will send the object to the back of every object on the canvas. Now we have three objects right here, and we can move or send each object forward one step or one step back. Okay, so if I select the yellow, right click and I go to arrange and this time I choose send forward, it comes in front of the object that's directly in front of it. Now if I go back there and then this time I choose send backward, it goes one step behind the object that's in front of it. Now the difference between send to back and send backward is that when you choose send to back, it goes behind every object on the artboard, and the send backward only will take a step back. And also the difference between the bring to front and send forward is that if I go ahead and choose the bring to front, it moves from the back straight to the front, okay? But if I choose send forward, it only comes on top of the object that's directly on top of it. So if I go ahead and select the green one and then I go and choose bring to front, it comes straight to the front. But if I go and choose send forward, it will first come on top of the yellow, and then if I go back there and then choose send forward again, then it comes on top of the line. So that's how it works. So with the last one, let's look at how we can reflect objects. All right, so we have this guy right here selected. Now let's right click and then go to transform, reflect. Then we have this pop-up menu right here. It's already reflected, and you can use this guy to preview the changes. Okay, so with that, you can either copy or reflect the original one. Okay, so if I go and click OK, the original shape is what is reflected. So if I undo that and then redo, you can see the difference. Now if I go back there, transform and then reflect, now this time if I click on copy, it maintains the original shape and then reflects a copied shape of it. So if I move the copy shape to the left, we can have this shape right here. All right, so the same shape that's what reflected in the opposite. Okay, so we are going to start the pathfinder with these two shapes right here. Okay, so to find the pathfinder, you just have to go to Windows, and then we have the pathfinder right here. So it will float here. We've talked about floating panels. So these are all the actions that you can take on the shapes, all right, using the pathfinder. Now what we are going to start with is the first action on the pathfinder, okay, and that is the unite. So with that, we can unite these two shapes into one shape. Okay, so if I drag this guy over this square right here, they are overlapping. Okay, and if I select both of them and then I go to the pathfinder and then click on this one right here, that's the unite. So if I click that, you can see they unite into one shape. Okay, you know, you can move them anywhere you want. So that's the first action. Let me put this guy right here and try again. So I'm going to get a new shape and then duplicate it right here. I'll choose a new color for that. Okay, so if I select both of them and then come and click on unite, you see they unite into one shape and takes the color of the shape on top. All right, so that's the first action, unite. Now let me get two new shapes and then let's talk about the minus front action, which is the second one. And what this action does is it cuts out the shape in front from the shape behind, or the shape at the back. So if I go ahead and click the minus front right here, you see it takes the shape of the circle that's overlapping the square out of the square. Okay, so let me undo that. All right, and then send the blue to the back. So I'll right click and then come to arrange and then select send to back, and it will be sent to the back. So if I select the two shapes together, it's going to cut the square out of the circle, all right, at where they overlap. Okay, that's how this works. So I'm going to bring the blue one to the front and then duplicate, and then on the second one bring the yellow to the front so that we see what we mean by that. So when I select and then minus front, you see I will cut the front one out of the back, and then same thing with the second one. This time the square is being cut out of the circle at where they overlap. So that's how or what the minus front does. Okay, so the next action that we are going to talk about is the intersect. Okay, so first of all, I'll get two shapes, and this time to demonstrate that, before we get onto that, let me use strokes. Okay, so I'll get a circle with a stroke. Now what this action does is it's only cut out the intersection. Okay, so when you overlap the two shapes where they are intersecting, that's where it's going to cut out and give that to you. So if I overlap these guys like this, it's only going to cut where they are intersecting. Okay, that small shape right there, I don't know if it's a semicircle or whatever that may be. So let me change the color of the top one, which is the circle. Okay, so if I select both of them and then come and click on this guy right here, that's the intersect, it's only cut out the intersection. Okay, and everything else disappear. So if I undo that and then I place this guy right here, then select both of them, you can see where the intersection is. That's this pizza shape that so if I click that, it's only cut that intersection out. Okay, now the next action that we are going to talk about is the exclude. Okay, and it's the opposite of the intersect action. So if the intersect only gives you the intersection and then everything disappears, with the exclude, only the intersection is cut out and disappeared. Okay, so let me get two shapes right here. Let me change the color and then let me increase this guy right here. Now if I overlap and then select both of them and then I go and click on the exclude, you can see the intersection or the shape of the intersection only disappears and then the rest is left. Okay, so if I duplicate that and then the first one I click the intersect, you only have the intersection, and this guy right here, if I click on exclude, you only have that. So this can come and complete this guy right here. So that's the difference between the two actions. Okay, so let me go ahead and place these guys right here. Now the next tool that I'm going to talk about is the divide. Okay, now with this one, when the action is taken, no shape disappears. Okay, it's just cuts through the intersection and they all remain a separate shape. So right now if I have this overlapping shapes and then I turn them into strokes, let me increase the stroke width. So with this, if I apply the divide action, we are going to have three separate shapes. All right, you will have the first one, the middle one, which is the intersection, and the last one. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. If I select both of them, then I click divide, now they have been divided but grouped as one, so you can move all of the three together. But if you look at it this way, you would think no action was taken, but unless we right click on that, on the grouped shape, right? If I right click and then ungroup that from here, now I can select the three shapes. Okay, they become three separate shapes. So if I go ahead and undo all of that and then I change the position of the intersection so that we have a square intersection like this, we are going to have three shapes, okay, including the intersection. As for the previous ones, they just cut through it and one disappears, but this time all the shapes remain intact but separate. Okay, unless you right click and then you ungroup them before you can move each of them. So now you have three shapes including the intersection. So if I go ahead and then right click, then select ungroup, then I can move each shape to a new location or do whatever I want to do with that. Okay, so let's give it another try with different shapes. Okay, so I will select that and place them right here and then grab new shapes. So if I have a circle and a square and then I overlap them, let me change the color of this guy right here and select the two. You can see that we have the middle intersection and the rest of the shape, and if I click, action is taken. They've all been cut but grouped, unless I right click, go to ungroup, and then I can have each shape just like this. Okay, and the next action that we're going to talk about is the trim action. Okay, and the next one will be merge, but these guys almost works the same. Okay, so I'm only going to talk about the trim and then I will leave out the merge. Okay, so as usual, I just get two shapes. Now if I overlap and then go and click on the trim, it only trims out the side of the top shape that's overlapping. Okay, so if I ungroup that, right now they are grouped together, so I have to right click and then go and choose ungroup. And if I ungroup this and then I take the top one out, you can see it trims out the top from the back and nothing disappears. Okay, so if I undo that and then I change the position of the intersection, then I select all, then trim it out, and then I ungroup that and I take the top one out. You can see it's trimmed out of the back. Okay, the shape that's at the back. So that's how the trim works. Now let's move to the crop action. So if I have two shapes right here, let me copy this guy, then change the color. So if I select both, it's only going to crop out the intersection just like this. Okay, and the next action we're going to talk about is the outline action. Okay, right here. So if you click that, they're all going to be turned to outline. Okay, simple as that. Let me undo that. And the next one is minus back, the opposite of minus front. So if I click that action, it takes out the back one from the front, unlike the minus front, which takes out the front one from the back. So if I got these two guys right here, then I click minus back, it takes out the one at the back, and minus front will take the front one from the back, just like these guys that we got right here. So that's all about the pathfinder. The shape builder tool works just like the pathfinder. Okay, just that this shape builder tool, you can work with what strokes as well. All right, you can combine strokes and other stuff like that, but as for the pathfinder, you can work in strokes. So you can press Shift M for the pathfinder, or you can locate that on the tools panel. So we got these two shapes right here. We are going to see how we can go around it, and this tool is very good when you are doing a logo design. Okay, so first of all, let me float the pathfinder right here, even though we aren't going to need that, and let me overlap these shapes. So if I select both of them, then go for the shape builder tool, it highlights every shape that's caused by the intersection. So all you need to do is just drag over the shapes that you want to unite. So I will drag over these three shapes and then they get united. Okay, so I'll undo that. So right now, if I want to unite the circle, I'll just drag from the green to the intersection, and I'll have the circle cut out from the square, just like this. Okay, and this gives out a trim or something like minus back. Okay, so I can drag from the intersection to the rest of the square and it will give us a trim or minus front. Now we are going to look at how we can take out or delete shapes or combine shapes. Okay, so let me get two circles. That one will be easier. So I'll duplicate one right here and then change the color of the second one. All right, so let me zoom in so that we can see clearly, but first of all, let me select all of them. Okay, so now let's go and grab the shape builder tool, select both shapes. All right, so then let's go for the shape builder tool. Now you can see you have three shapes right here. Okay, even though there are two overlapping. Now when you press Alt on the keyboard, you can see it changes from plus to minus. So when you hold down the Alt and then you drag over the shape that you want to take out, it will be taken out. Okay, so when I hold Alt and drag over this guy and I release, it goes. Hold Alt, drag over this guy, it goes out, and I have only the intersection. Okay, so let's put this guy aside and try another thing that the shape builder tool can do. So now let's get few straight lines, vertical lines, and I hope by this time you all can do straight lines like this with a pen tool. So we are going to have few vertical lines, and the trick in Illustrator is that when you hold Alt and then you click and drag to a direction, it duplicates it. Then after that, you can press Ctrl and then tap on the D to duplicate in the same direction. So you can have more duplicates in the same direction just by pressing Ctrl and then tapping on D. So I'll select all of them and then expand the line. I hope you all can do that. And then I'll select all the strokes again. right click and then copy. Then I'll right click again and then paste in front. Okay, so I'll turn that into a 45 degrees. Okay, so now we have a grid right here. So if I go ahead and select all these lines, okay, and then go for the shape builder tool, every 4 intersections becomes a shape or a square that gets highlighted. Okay, and now we can take out these guys by holding Alt and dragging. So when you hold Alt, it becomes minus, which means take them out. Then you can drag over it, and you can also hold Alt when it turns to minus. Then you click on a specific line to take that specific line out. But to fast forward, you just have to drag over it by holding Alt. Simple as that. So now what we are left right here, we can create any letter from this. So let's try with an F. So all we need to do is drag over a specific boxes, and then they merge together or they combine. Okay, and then you drag down, they unite, and you drag from here, they unite. Now you have the F. Now it fills already. Okay, when you draw or when you merge, they fill. So let's go ahead and take out the fill. Okay, so now when you select all of them and then go for the shape builder tool, and then we drag, this time don't hold Alt. If you want to merge or combine, you don't hold Alt. Okay, so after you have your shape like this, then you can hold Alt, it turns to minus, then you drag over the spaces or the rest of it that you don't want. Okay, you just drag over them by holding Alt, and then you drag. And sometimes you drag over a line to delete it, but it won't go off or disappear unless you click on that line, as I did earlier when I was clicking, holding Alt and clicking on the lines, they were taken out. Okay, so right now it's a full shape, so we can switch from stroke to fill. Then we can apply any color that we want. Okay, and in applying color, we can use the shape builder tool itself to apply color. So let me undo that very quickly. Okay, so let me stop here and then select everything and grab the pathfinder. Now I can give a different or a separate color to each box. Okay, just by clicking it once, and then I go to the color swatch and then click on a color and then come and click again. Then I apply that color. So if I choose a different color and then come and click on a box, it fills that box with the color that I choose. So with this, you can fill each box with a different color. Okay, so that's all about the shape builder tool when you are applying or you want to apply color. Okay, so you can just have a grid of different colors for your work. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to create a fancy Apple logo with the shape builder tool, so that you grasp the idea of what this tool does. Okay, so we are going to make the Apple logo. So I'll grab a circle right here and then duplicate that one to the right. Okay, and then I will duplicate again, Control C and then Control F will paste it in front, and then you can move it and then resize that. Okay, so Control C, Control F will paste in front, and Control C, Control B will paste the back. So with the Apple logo, we are going to merge the two big circles. Okay, and then the smaller circle will be the one that will be cut out. So we just grab the idea. So I will select all, grab the shape builder tool. So we are going to be doing uniting and deleting. So you drag and then you hold Alt to take out. Okay, you drag without Alt to add, you drag with Alt to take out. So this is what we have, a very simple fancy Apple logo. So that's not it. Okay, let's fill that shape with black. So you can press Shift X on the keyboard to switch. So now let's have two shapes right here, circles. Let me duplicate one. We are going to need only the intersection, so we select both and then go to the shape builder tool, then take out the left, take out the right. And sometimes the shape left becomes a duplicate. Okay, so we just delete one and then you use one. So I'll go ahead and delete this guy right here. Now that's all about the beginner's tutorial on the shape builder tool. But to get along with logo design, you just need to master this tool right here. That's the shape builder tool. So first of all, let's go and activate the grid. Let's go to view and then show grid. So we have the grid, and we're going to duplicate what we have on the left side of the canvas or the artboard. So first of all, we need to start with this curve right here, and we can get that from the ellipse tool. Okay, so grab the ellipse tool, and with the help of Alt and Shift, you can get a perfect circle like this. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is take the pen tool and then make a straight line at the bottom here. So I'll click here and then move to the other side and then click again. Now I'll select everything and then go for the shape builder tool, Shift M, and then hold Alt on the keyboard and drag over the spaces or the things that I don't want. So they are off and we are left with this guy. So if I try moving it, you can see this path was duplicated, so all I have to do is just click and delete that. Okay, so we got this right here, and now the next thing that we need to do is get these diagonals right here. So we are going to do that with the pen tool. So let's go for the pen tool. You can press P on the keyboard, or you can go for it on the tools panel. And with this diagonals, you just need to measure same boxes from the left and same boxes from the right. That's the only way you can get it accurately. Okay, so you just count the boxes down and you count boxes to the left, then you click and then you move to the other side, and then make sure you click at where the boxes count the same from the right. Okay, and then you can join it. So right now we have two shapes. Okay, and then we need to select everything, go to the shape builder tool, and then merge everything together. Okay, or combine, unite everything together into one shape. And now we just need the bottom one. Okay, so we are still going to use the pen tool. So let's grab our pen tool. You can press P on the keyboard. So I got that. I'll click here, and this line here is not straight, it's tilted. Okay, so I'll just come here and click, and then come here and then click. Make sure you count the same boxes from the left. And by the way, you can use the rectangle tool for that. Okay, so let's grab the move tool and select everything, go for the shape builder to drag and to unite. Now we have a single shape. So the next thing that we need to do is that circular thing right here. We just need to do that before we move to the next step. So we're going to grab the ellipse tool and then we make an ellipse right here. You can grab this area and then shift it here to get an ellipse, and then I'll place it somewhere here. So when you're cool with that, you just select everything, you grab your shape builder tool, and then you unite, you drag over to unite. Okay, so you have a single shape right here. So right now what we need to do is duplicate this shape into a smaller one, which we have in the middle right here. All right, and now when you think you can duplicate this shape, so you right click, then you go to copy, you right click again, then you paste in front. And when you resize it, you're actually not gonna get the same space around it. Okay, what I mean is that the space right here will not be equal to the space over here. Okay, so here will be smaller than this place. So the best way to do this is to use the offset path. Okay, so let me quickly undo that. All right, so now I have this shape selected, so let's go to object, path, and then let's select offset path. Okay, so now what this does is it duplicates the shape with what equal spaces around it, either outside or inside. Okay, so you can lower the offset or you can increase it. Okay, so if you increase it, it duplicates it around it with equal space around it. Okay, so that's what the offset does. And then we have the joins, but right now what we need is the meta. Okay, you can go ahead and play with the round or the bevel, but we are going for the meta in this tutorial. And the limits, you can play with it to see what they do or what it does. Okay, so I'll leave that right here and then go ahead and click OK. So now we have it duplicated, but this time equal space or margin around it. Okay, so that's the offset path. So let's continue. So I'm going to fill this guy right here with a yellow color, okay? But before that, let me switch or swap from stroke to fill. So I'll select this middle little guy right here. I'll select that and then swap the stroke with the fill, and then I can grab the eyedropper tool. You can press I on the keyboard or grab it right here, and with it, when I click on this yellow, it copies the color and fills it up. Okay, so when I select the big guy right here, then I can also swap it from stroke to fill, grab the eyedropper tool, and then click on the reds, and we have it right here. So now what is left is the spike, or the spikes that we got right here. I mean, piercing through the yellow. So that's what we are going to do right now. And how do you go about that? So first of all, we just grab the pen tool. We can get the pen tool or we get the line tool. So let's get the pen tool, and then let's create a straight line in the middle. Okay, so let the smart guys guide you, and then you get through the middle. You can increase the stroke from the beginning, else when you click you won't see, it won't be filled with stroke. So you click somewhere here, and then on the control panel, let's increase the stroke till it becomes thick like this. Okay, and then from here we can choose, I mean, this guy then it becomes what, pointed like a spear. All right, so this is it. So I'll go ahead and bring this guy right here to see if the size is okay. So I'll just increase it a little. Okay, so this one is good. Okay, so what is left is the rest of the spikes or the spears inside the yellow. Okay, so how do we do that? We are going to use the rotation method or the rotate tool. Okay, so you can press R on the keyboard for the rotate tool, or you can go to the tools panel and then click on this guy right here. So when selected, you will see this blue dot right here, and you can move it anywhere that you want, and where you move it is where it will be the center that all your items will rotate around. So when you hold Alt and click and drag, you can duplicate it. Then when you release the click and you press Ctrl D, you can duplicate many times. Okay, you just have to be pressing Ctrl D D D D, and the more you press the Ctrl D, the more you get duplicates. Okay, just like this. All right, so I'll undo that and have only 3 duplicates. So right now I'll just go ahead and select the 3 duplicates and then reflect them to the other side. So I'll hold Shift, click on this guy, and then click on this guy and this guy too. Right click, transform, reflect, and click copy, but make sure this vertical is checked. Okay, click copy, and then to be copied, then you move the copy to the left like this. Okay, so this is what we have right now. So right now we need to cut or subtract these strokes from the yellow shape. Okay, but these are strokes, and using the Pathfinder, it doesn't work with strokes and shapes unless you convert the strokes into what, shapes, so that we can either cut, merge, combine using the Pathfinder. So I've selected all of them, so I'll go to Object, Expand Appearance, and then I'll click Unite on the Pathfinder, and they will be united individually as shape. Okay, combined together. So right now what I need to do is select the yellow shape and the black shapes. Okay, and then on the Pathfinder I'll click minus front, and it will cut the blacks from the yellow. Okay, just as we did in previous tutorial. So that's simple as that. So mastering the shape builder tool, the Pathfinder, the pen tool, and other shapes will actually help you get along with your logo design process out there. So you just have to put in more effort and do more practices, because practice make man what, perfect. So now the last thing we are going to talk about in this part 1 of the beginner's tutorial is gradients. Okay, so we are going to talk about gradients, and then we see how we can use it to create the Instagram logo made of what gradients. Okay, so stay tuned and see you in the next episode. So now gradients. So we have linear gradients, radial, and then we have freeform. Okay, so let's talk about linear. So when I have this guy selected, and you can go to Windows and you can select gradient right here, and this pops up. Now from here is where we have the linear, radial, and then free transform here. So we are talking about linear, so I'll click on this guy to apply linear gradient, and this bar can adjust the length of the colors. Okay, so linear gradient is selected, and we can click here for black and white gradient, which is the default, or you can choose the orange and yellow, or the fading sky, or the other one. Okay, so you just play along, or you play around with it. So let's choose the default, and right now we have selected the linear gradient. Okay, so that's what we are working on. So if you click on edit gradient, we can adjust the angle where the gradient starts and ends. Okay, so you can choose any angle that you want, and when you click on these circles, double click on that, this pops up and you can choose a color for your gradient. Okay, so you can adjust these sliders here to choose a color for that, or these ones are CMYK, and when you click on this three dots up here, you can choose RGB, and then you choose your RGB colors, or you can go through the rest of the color modes to see what they all do or what they are. Okay, so that is that. Let me go back, and we can use the eyedropper tool right here. So when you click on that, any color that you click on will be applied. Okay, you just have to click the color and double click here. You can use this swatches right here, so any color that you click on will be applied. And when you are done with that, you can change the opacity of the color. You can set it to 0, any opacity that you want. And when you double click on this, you can choose the color for this side. So let me change the opacity of this guy back. Okay, so you can drag this guy right here, and the more closer you bring it to the other side, the more the color would spread out the square. So you can choose the length where this color starts and ends. Okay, another way to go around this slider, if you don't want to use this, is to use the gradient tool on the tools panel right here. So when you click on that, you have this bar, and anywhere that you click and drag, the color will start from and follow to where you end. Okay, so you can choose, or you decide the direction and the length of the colors. Okay, so you click, you drag, and the color follows. Okay, simple as ABC. So now let me zoom in so that you see it well. So this guy right here, you can slide it to the left or to the right to determine the position of all the colors, or you can bring this guy closer from here. Click and drag this guy closer, and when you click on a color point, you double click on a color point, this pops up and you can change the color. Okay, you double click on this guy and you can change the color. And when you click anywhere on the bar, all right, anywhere on the bar, you can add a color point, a new color point that you can double click, and then you change the color right there. So I will click here, add a new color, stop, and then I will change it. Okay, so you can have as many as you want on the bar right here, and with the gradient tool you can change the direction of the gradient. So now let's go back to the gradient panel right here. When you click on a color stop and you click on the delete icon, it will be deleted. So you click, you delete, you click, and you delete. And when you click, you can create a new color stop or color point. Okay, so that's all about the linear gradient in squares. All right, now let's move to the circle. So with the move tool, if I click on the circle right here, and then with the eyedropper tool I click on the square, it copies the gradient into the circle. Then on the gradient panel I can delete some color points that I don't want. Okay, So I can delete this guy and then delete this guy too, so that we have only two colors. And I can change the direction from here using the gradient tool. Just click and drag in any direction that you want and the color follows. Now right now I'm moving the gradient around. You just have to click on the bar and then you drag it around, and the edge here you can rotate the gradient, okay. And you cannot use the slider, play with that, and then you can create new color stops or color points just as we did. Now let's go to the radial. Okay, so the radial gradient. So I'll select this square right here, and then before that let's choose the default, which is black and white, and then let's click the middle one, which is the radial gradient. Then it will be applied. Now with the same process, we can change the colors on each color stop or color point. Okay, you can adjust the slider right here. You just have to play with it, and with time it will be at your fingertips. Okay, so you double click on this guy, and then you can pick a color right here that you want. And in using the gradient tool for the directions and the color stops, with the radial gradients is different. Okay, so if I go and pick the gradient tool, this pops up. All right, so this is a circular one right here, and this bar actually adjusts the length where the color stops. Okay, this bar actually increases or decreases it, and you can double click here to choose what colors for the color stops. Then you can adjust the slider to suit you. And when you click on this box right here, you cannot increase or decrease the size of the gradient. Same thing with the one on the left side right here, you can increase or decrease. And with the top one, you cannot increase or decrease the height of the gradient. And also with the gradient tool, you cannot rotate the gradient around. Okay, all I need to do is select the gradient tool, and then when you hover around here, the icon will be changed to a rotate icon, and then you click and then you can rotate the gradient. Okay, you can increase and decrease the size, just have to play with it. Now with gradients on the ellipse or circle, you just select the circle and then you click on the radial gradient, and then you can apply sliders of different positions. And when you go for the gradient tool, we can click and drag for a new gradient style. Okay, so anywhere you click and drag, the colors will spread out within the circle. Okay, so you can play with that. And let's quickly move on to the freeform gradient. So I'll go ahead and select the square right here, and then on the gradient panel I will click on the last one, the freeform, and by default we have 4 color stops or color points in here. So with the gradient tool, I can double click on each color stop to change the color that I want. All right, to change the color to any color that I want. So when I double click on that, I can apply any color right here. Then I'll double click on this guy, and then same thing, change the color, and I can change this guy right here too. So now anywhere that I click, a new color stop or color point will appear that I can choose a new color for that position. Okay, so suppose I click here, I click once, a new color point appears, and double click, and then I can change the color over there. I will click here, new one appears with the previous color that I selected for the other one. So you just have to change the color to the one that you prefer over there. So you can also click and drag on a color stop to move it to a new location. Okay, so anywhere that you want it to be, just click and drag it to that position, and the whole form of the gradient will change. And then you can change the size of a color stop, okay, by clicking and dragging out the circular or the dotted circle around it, in and out, and then you can increase the size or the spread. So you can try it out with different colors that you have applied on the gradient. And you can create duplicate color or duplicate color stops by just clicking on the color stop and then click on an empty space to create a new color stop with the color that you clicked on earlier. So now let's move to the ellipse or the circle and click on that, and then we go to the gradient panel and click on the freeform. All you have to do is continue to practice with this freeform gradient, and then you cannot add more color stops, okay, with different colors, just as we did with the square. So it's simple as that. All you need to do is keep on practicing with the gradient tool, and then from here the next thing that we are going to do is try our hands on the Instagram logo. As you can see, it was made with all the freeform too. Okay, so freeform gradient, sorry. So we are going to use the freeform gradient to create the Instagram logo and see how it was done. Okay, so that's all about the gradient. Makes it looks great, makes your works looks great. As you can see, the last ellipse looks 3D. All we need to do is add shadows. So guys, I'll see you in the next episode for the Instagram logo. So we are in Illustrator, and this is the original logo that we are going to clone. All right, so the first thing we're going to need is go to the tools panel and grab a rectangle or rounded rectangle. Now hold shift and alt and drag to get a perfect square like this. Now we need to round the corners, so let's go to the tools panel, grab the direct selection tool and click and drag in one of these circles to round the corners, just like this. All right, so let me place it right here. Okay, now we need to fill it with a gradient. All right, but our current fill is white, so let's go to window and then select gradient. All right, so this is the gradient panel and this is the freeform gradient. All right, so we're going to click on that and it's gonna fill the square with gradient with different points. That's the freeform gradient. All right, so with this you can blend with so many color points. All right, and you can click and drag a point to a different position. All right, so I'll drag this one right here, and if you double click on it, the swatch opens up and you can select the eyedropper tool and then go and click on a specific color on the original logo to copy that color stop. Now we can drag this one right here to the top right corner and then double click and then select the eyedropper tool and click on this area to copy that color. You can move this one also right here and then double click, select the eyedropper and then pick a color from here. So that's what you're going to do throughout. All right, so you just click and drag the point to a specific position, then you double click, pick the eyedropper and then select a color at that area. All right, so we're going to select this guy right here and then pick this color. Now you can add more point or color stops in a freeform gradient. All that you have to do is look at how the colors are blended on the original logo. All right, then you can do same on yours. So if you click on a color stop and then click on an empty area, it's going to create a new color stop with that color. All right, and then you can click more to duplicate the same color in different areas. All right, all that you have to do is just blend with the appropriate colors. So I'm going to shift this guy right here. Now if you click on this and that circular thing comes around, you can click and drag this smaller circle right here to increase the space that this particular color stop occupies. And now I will go ahead and create a new color stop right here and then pick this pinky color right here and then try duplicating it along this path by clicking on a specific spot that you want. All right, so I'll click one right here and click another one right here. Now let me shift that to the right a little. Okay, you can adjust the positions, and if there has to be a different color somewhere, you just click at that specific spot and you can change the color. So I'll be moving around or playing around with the positions of the colors and then sampling or copying colors from the original logo. All right, so all you have to do is just look at how the original logo is being blended with colors, then you can position yours and then add or copy those colors. So I will just adjust a few more positions and add a few clicks, and then we are good to go. Alright, so I think it's okay from here, and you can see we have a good blend right here that looks almost the same as the original logo. Now we are left with the square and the two circles within it. Okay, so let's grab our rectangle tool again, and with the help of the shift and alt on Windows, let's make a perfect square. Alright, so we are filled with white. Now let's swap to stroke, and let's go to the control panel and increase the stroke. Now let's increase the size until it looks like the one on the original logo. So we are going to play with the size of the stroke until we have something similar. Then after that, we need a rounded corners, so grab your direct selection tool and drag in those points. So we have this right here. Let me go ahead and decrease the size of the stroke a little. Let me play with it. Okay, so this is good. Now we need to make the circle. So grab your ellipse tool. You can press L on the keyboard and then create a perfect circle with Alt and Shift together. Now we have this. Now it's left with the small circle over there. Just drag a circle out. Let me bring it right here, and then let's swap from stroke to fill. All right, and let's decrease the size and then place it right here. So you can go ahead and tweak the position of that small circle. Alright, so as you can see, we have something similar to the original logo. It's actually looking almost the same. If you show this to somebody else, someone, they ain't gonna know which one is the original logo. I actually did a great job right here. So we are done. Kindly subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, and I'm out. Peace. Now, if you have a single artboard with Web Connect like this and you want to save it in Adobe Illustrator file, let's go to File from the menu bar and then select Save. Now, this is what pops up, and from this side you can choose the location or the folder that you want to save this file in. Alright, so I will choose desktop, and right here I can right click over here and then create new, and then select new folder. Now right here is file name. I can decide whatever name I want to give to this work, and then save as type. You have PDF, Illustrator EPS, Illustrator template, SVG, and SVG compress. But now let's take Adobe Illustrator, okay, because that's what we are working in. And now let's go ahead and click save. And from the top here, you can choose the version of the Adobe Illustrator that you want to save, and the current one I'm using is 2020. Alright, so we're going to leave that, and we are going to leave the create PDF compatible file checked, and we're also going to check the include the link file. As you can see, the image that we got here, it was imported. Alright, so it creates a link. So if you save it without checking this and you open this file on another computer, you are not going to have that image included. Alright, so we need to check that so that you can open it on a different computer and have access to that image. And now we are going to leave everything checked as they are. I will explain what they mean later in this course. So let's click OK. Now let's go to our folder where we save. Let's go to desktop, and actually I didn't save in that folder that I created, so this is it right here, and our file is saved. Now I'm going to explain how we can export this file or this artwork in JPEG, PNG, and other formats. Alright, and in exporting artwork in Adobe Illustrator, the first thing I'm going to explain is the export as option. Alright, when you go to file and select export, then select export as. Now if this pops up, you have to change or choose the location where you want to save it, and in the file name you just choose a name that you want. And in the save as type, you have options like Autodesk, BMP, CSS, JPEG, PNG, Photoshop, and so on. So we are going to try and save this work in JPEG format. So let's select JPEG. Now save Artboards option. Let me bring this guy right here, and let me resize it. Okay. if we leave it unchecked, then we save, it's going to save everything that we have outside the artboard, including the circles and the stars and the text. But if you check it, it's going to save only the work that we have on the artboard, right? Only the work that we have on the white space called artboard. Okay, so you're going to leave it checked, and then let me bring this guy right here, then resize that. Now we are good to go, so let's click export. This pops up. If you are going to print the work, let's leave it in CMYK, but if you're not, let's choose RGB. Slide the quality to maximum for best result. Now here the default is baseline standard. Okay, now the baseline optimized provides a smaller file size with the same image quality. The progressive is used for displaying large images on websites. And for the resolution, let's choose the maximum, which is 300 ppi pixel per inch. And the anti-aliasing smoothes the jagged edges of a selection by softening the color transition between edge pixels and background pixels. Alright, but as a beginner, you wouldn't know what it is for the first time. And leave this guy out, don't touch it. Now we are good to go, so let's click OK. So now that we're done with the JPEG, let's try saving it in PNG file format. Okay, so let's go to File, Export, Export As, and in the Save As type, we're going to change it to PNG. Yeah, okay, so we are going to check this to save only the work that we have on the artboard. Now this is what we have, or this is what pops up. Okay, so let me bring this guy here. Then we're going to choose high for the resolution, and we're going to leave this unchecked. Don't check it up, leave it like that. And here for the background, you can choose transparent. If you don't want any background, you can choose white background for that, or you can choose black. Then you can go ahead, then save that. But let me leave that in transparent, then save. Okay. Now suppose we go back there, export as, and we leave this guy unchecked. Then we go to export, click yes. Now from there you can see we have the star and the circle over there. All right, so that's not what you want, but if you want to save that one too, that's where you leave that thing unchecked. Now let's talk about 2 or more artboards. Now we have 4 artboards with different artworks. All right, so let's look at how we're going to save all of that. Let's go to File, Export, Export As. Now we choose our location, so let's select this folder. We are not going to change the file name, and we are not going to check this box right here. We are going to leave it just like that. And this time, if we leave it unchecked, it's going to save all the artworks on the 4 artboards together into one file. So let's click export, and from here you can see all the artworks are combined together. So let's click OK. Now if you want to save each artwork as a single file or single image, let's go to File, Export, and then Export As. But this time we are going to check this box right here. All right, and we are going to leave this all checked or selected. All right, and in that case it's going to save each artboard into a single file. All right, so this is all we have, and we are going to choose a white background or a black background, but let's take white and click OK. Now if you go into our folder, now you see we have all the 4 artworks separately. Okay, that's how it's done. Okay, so let me delete that. Now if you go back to Export As, this time if you check this box right here and the range, we just select the range instead of all. We can just choose a particular artboard that we want to save within the range. Okay, right now if I make it 3, we are going to save the artboards from 1 to 3. If I make it 1 to 4, we're going to save all the artboards. All right, now let me make it 3 to 4 and save only the 3rd and 4th artboard. So I'm going to click OK, and there we have our artboard 3 and 4. Okay, wait, let me go back there and delete those 2. Now if you go back there, and suppose we don't want a range from 1 to this, 3 to that, but if you make it, let's say 1, and then we bring comma, then we add 3, we are going to save the first artboard and the third artboard. All right, so let's go export, click OK. Now let's go and check it out. You have the first artboard and the third artboard. All right, and that's it for the export as option. Now export for screens. If you go to file, export, and this time you choose export for screens, we have this pop-up menu. All right, so as you can see, we have all the 4 artboards checked, and from here, if you double click on that, you can change the name of the artboard you want to save. All right, so you can do that for all the 4. Now if you go ahead and save it right now, it's going to save all the 4 artboards, but we can click an artboard to uncheck if you don't want to save that. All right, so you can click any artboard that you want to uncheck that, and the moment you uncheck an artboard, you see the range changes over here. All right, and you can choose the range from here, just as we did in the previous option. All right, then we have the bleed. All right, this is for printing purposes. That's the area we're going to cut off after printing, but as a beginner, don't worry about all these. In the advanced video, I'm going to explain all that in detail. All right, in the export to option is where you choose the location you want to save all these files. All right, so you can choose the specific location for that, and as a beginner, leave everything as they are right here. I will explain that in advanced videos. And now since you are exporting for screens, you just need to choose either iOS or Android. All right, and now if you have that selected, either iOS or Android, and then you come down to the scale. Now you have the first scale, the ×1. You can choose an extension for that. That's PNG, JPEG, whatever that you choose, and the same thing for the scale 2. All right, and you can choose different surfaces for the scales. All right, and extensions. So you let me go ahead and save that and show you what I mean. And it's going to group each scale in a folder, in a separate folder. All right, and don't worry, as a beginner, things gonna get messed up, so just tap cool and things gonna get better as you move along. It all depends on how much you practice in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, it's just a matter of time and effort. Okay, so we are done exporting. Now let's go into our folder. All right, so we have 4 new folders right here. Okay, the ×1 has all the artboards in this suffix, and actually we saved all in the same suffixes. All right, so but the last one, this one is the ×3. Okay, so the last one is SVG. All right, as I said, don't worry, you're gonna understand this as you keep on using Adobe Illustrator and research further. Okay, but don't worry, I'll get you the advanced videos. Okay, all right, now let's talk about the last one. Let's go to file, export, and then save for web legacy. Okay, so right here, this is how it looks, and over here you can choose any of these. All right, so you can choose PNG, which has the background off, or you can just take JPEG high, and this area is going to be set to JPEG since you chose JPEG. And here you can choose low, and when you change it to low, the quality is actually going to go down. All right, it is recommended you take it back to high or maximum, and same thing for the quality, it has to stay at the maximum. And the blur, you can blur it up, but you just have to keep it down, or you can choose the amount of blur that you want to apply to this image. So it depends on you. And this option, you can choose background black, white, or you can just take the eyedropper and pick a color from the surroundings. Okay, or you can choose a custom color right here. Okay, so let me go back and set it to none. Now if I go ahead and click save, I can choose the location that I want to save this file, and then choose the name that I want, and I click OK. All right, so that's it for this episode on saving documents and artworks in Adobe Illustrator. All right, so see you in the next episode.